history actually favors Tennessee at Alabama. I want Caleb to present this, and because I don't know where he's going. It's brought to you by Herald Group Security Solutions, leadership experience, specialization, addressing problems through unique mission-specific techniques, also making your children safer one school at a time. We're working with private schools now. We want to work with public schools. So go to your school administrator, make the push. You need to work with Herald, grp.com, Herald Group Security Solutions, making your children safer. But make that push. Go to the school administrator. Let's get this done, because we've all heard of the tragedies that have happened on school campuses. So here's the headline as I see it. History favors Vols at Alabama. Tell me, Caleb, how this can be the case and the parallels to 1983, because I'm trying to work with you here, brother. I don't know about this one.
All right, so let's take this back to 1956. That's the year that this officially became the series of streaks. As you guys both know, the history of this series is when one program is up, the other program is down. They've never been up at the same time, really. So it's a series. It's a series of streaks, long term. Now, that's the first part. So just that part of the history alone says that if Tennessee won last year, then they should be starting a streak of their own. Now, on a much more specific level, 1983, the parallels. So if you guys remember, 2022 was very much like 1982, which is Tennessee ended a double-digit losing streak to Alabama against the Hall of Fame coach at home when Alabama was number 2 and undefeated. Both times, 82 and 2022, and fans stormed the field, tore down the goalpost. What happened in 1983? Tennessee was a heavy underdog going to a one-loss Alabama that was ranked number 11, which is right where they're ranked right now. And they shocked Alabama thanks to a top 10 defense and an elite rushing attack led by one Johnny Jones back then. And what is Tennessee right now? A year after ending a double-digit losing streak at home to Alabama, they are going to Alabama when Alabama's number 11, heavily favored with one loss. And they have a top 10 defense and a dominant running game.
There you go. Let's end the show, Jimmy. Tennessee wins, beats Alabama. You heard it here first. Thoughts?
Hamburger says they don't. And I get all the comparisons. I think that's really good homework. But who was Joe Milton the quarterback in 1983?
No, but Alan Cockrell was. Was he much better?
Oh yeah. Cockrell was a better quarterback. Yes.
Okay.
Not as gifted. He was also a great baseball player, by the way.
Yeah, he did go play baseball.
But he was, and get a load of this. He actually, believe it or not, kept Tony Robinson on the bench for an extra year. So he was pretty good.
Oh, that is impressive. And Tennessee did go 9-3 in '83, I think, but that was Reggie White's year.
And they had Reggie White, who was as dominant a defensive player as you'll ever see in college.
But that's another parallel. They have James.
Yeah. And Aaron Beasley, who didn't play against Clemson, but he's still a really good player.
Jimmy, the Clemson game didn't happen. And Joe Milton is proof of that the Clemson game didn't happen. That was a simulation, guys, okay?
I'm going to have to lean toward you on that one. Now, Beasley didn't fool me. Milton did, as far as the Clemson game.
In the past couple of weeks, I did have somebody tell me, Jimmy, you'll find this interesting within the program. They said that they were actually shocked at how well Milton played in the Orange Bowl, and that they thought that the Milton that we're seeing now is more the Milton that is true to form, that they were really surprised by how well he played against Clemson.
I think the Milton we're seeing right now is more true to his form because we've seen it repeatedly. I thought against Clemson he had turned the corner. And I thought a part of the reason was he'd been in the system this long. And I had somebody say, well, he only played a good second half. Well, his first half numbers were actually better than his second half numbers. His completion percentage, his number of completions, his yards, all of that was better in the first half than the second half. So I thought he played a real solid game. And I thought if Tennessee got that out of Joe Milton consistently, that they would have a really good team. Well, they haven't gotten it out of him consistently. And I don't think the receivers have helped. And here's another thing, too. I am amazed that this running game is averaging, 232 yards a game whenever you got a quarterback that won't keep it on a, quote, zone read. I think they'd be averaging over 250 if he kept it on a zone read, maybe even more. But he doesn't give you a threat. Therefore, I think now the one thing they do that a lot of teams don't, I wasn't surprised they ran effectively against A&M. Tennessee spreads it. They make you cover the field 53 yards wide because they spread out the receivers sideline to sideline, which means it's really hard for you to put 7 in the box. Sometimes it's hard to put 6 in the box. But if you got 6 in the box or 5 in the box, that's a running down for Tennessee, and they've done really well with that. And I do think Cooper Mays has helped his return. You know, they didn't run the ball well against Florida, right? On the road, but they didn't have Cooper Mays. How will they do against Alabama? They're not going to run for 232, but they should run for more than 100. And if they run for 150 to 180, I guess that gives them a chance to stay in the game. But Joe Milton has got to play above average. He can't perform like he did against A&M for Tennessee to have any chance to win in Tuscaloosa.
No, and Jimmy, from our message board, Dan had this to say. Are you saying the coaches can't see this? I mean, how did they not do something? I assume he's referring to the zone read.
That's why I think it's predetermined. I think they do see it.
Oof.
I think they see that he is not good at reading the zone read, and so it's a predetermined call. I can't. How can you explain that he never kept the ball on the zone read against A&M? Not once.
It's good. Well, when he does keep it, that's a good way to get shellacked, or it's a good way to get your running back hit really hard repeatedly. I mean, you've got to make that read. I don't think you can go in predetermined. I think that's just bad business in general. Jimmy, so we'll bring up the conversation that I think people want to have but kind of don't want to have, and that's Nico. What does it take? I mean, I have trouble pronouncing his name still, Jimmy, so that makes it easier. What does it take for Nico Iamaleava to get in the game? You and I differ a little bit on this. I think that Joe Milton would have to play really poorly, but let's say he put up the same stat line he put up last week against Texas A&M, which was 11 of 22 for 100 yards, I believe it was. Let's say that's pretty bad. Yeah. Let's say he does that and they lose by 20 points. Do you think that Nico is a factor the following week? Do you think there could be something there?
I do.
Whoa. Breaking news, kids.
Now, again, it gets back. I said 9 of 30 for 3 interceptions. If he's 11 of 22 for 100 yards and throws a couple of picks and they get beat by 20, and it's obvious you can't win with him at quarterback, I think they could go to Nico. But here's the other thing I don't know. How good is Nico in practice? Does he perform well? Does he look good? Is he throwing accurately? Is he looking good on the zone read? Is he reading defense? Is he on the same page with the receivers? If he's doing those things, which I'll go back to this, I believe Trevor Lawrence was doing at Clemson before they put him in for Kelly Bryant. If he's performing at a high level in practice and Milton has an awful game at Alabama, I think I would roll the dice and go with Nico. Again, an awful game. Now, that's relative to what you would consider an awful game, but I think they would have to look in that direction if Milton plays poorly in Tuscaloosa.
As far as practice, I've been told that he gets about 50% of the snaps, which is a lot for a backup, and that he would be ready to go, but they absolutely love Joe. So I will stand by that, but that doesn't mean you can't fall out of love with Joe. Caleb, anything else, sir?
So you may say Alan Cockrell's better than Joe Milton, Jimmy, but which running game is better, 83 or 2023? Jalen Wright or Johnny Jones? Who are you taking?
Oh, 2023, because they also have Dylan Sampson. They also have Jabari Small. I don't think Tennessee averaged anything near 232 yards in 1983.
Yeah.
Well,
James Pierce or Reggie White? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
No, that's not quite the same.